Hello, Jim Howard here in Fort Worth, Texas. Today's date, it's August 27th of 2021, and it's 9 a.m. in the morning. This is going to be a very short video. Um, I'm making it with on my Beeline computer with Windows 11 on it, and I have two monitors here. Also have my HP Chromebox set up in the back with one monitor. I just have one camera hooked up, and that's to this one, and that's the Avra Media PW513. Uh, today's news. Oops. Today's news. Well, there's major news, but this is the item that caught my attention, and it's the reason for this video, and it's the reason the video will be pretty short. I'm hoping I don't get carried away and give you more information than you want or need. Prosecutors have announced that they will not oppose the pardon or a parole for convicted Robert F. Kennedy assassin Sirhan Sirhan. And this is the CNN story. I'll put a link below to it. He was convicted of assassinating Senator Robert F. Kennedy in 1968. And this will be his 16th parole hearing Friday, seeking his release from prison. This time there will be no opposition from prosecutors. I was an early supporter of John F. Kennedy. In fact, 4 years before he got the nomination from the Democratic Party, he tried to get the nomination. I'm not sure if he was trying to get the nomination for president or vice president now. I've forgotten. My memory is. But 4 years before that, let's see, I would have been in high school, De La Salle Military Academy, a Catholic high school. And I was in, at civics, I think was a class, I believe. Anyway, at that convention, the Democratic convention, you know, Robert F. Kennedy, John F. Kennedy's brother, was in the background. They were all, working to try to get the nomination for John F. Kennedy at that convention. And that was sort of a background thing that a lot of the news media was covering, this dynamic family. And anyway, I was in this. I want to show you how strongly I was in favor back then of John F. Kennedy. And the Christian brother in the class said to us, write down who you would like to I'm not sure if it was a nomination. I think it was must have already been decided. I think that it was already decided, and they didn't pick John F. Kennedy for any position, not for the presidential candidate or the vice presidential candidate. So the brother wanted us, and I forget who ran. And the brother said, write down who you would like to be the next president of the United States. And I wrote down John F. Kennedy. And then the brother came by and picked these up as they went down the thing. And everything, and then he came to me and he saw that, and I don't know if he thought that I was, stupid, uh, or what. And he said, no, write down, and I forget what he said, but write down, you know, and so I wrote down John F. Kennedy again and handed it to him, and I expected to get punched or hit or something, something by him, and then he must have I think he must have realized, no, I was an ardent supporter, and or something. So I didn't get punched and hit or anything, but I was a strong supporter. So 4 years later, with the activities, at the convention of John F. Kennedy's brother, Robert F. Kennedy, John F. Kennedy became the candidate for President of the United States, and he won, of course. I was out of high school by that time, and I, on election day, I had to be at, I was, in Cleveland, Ohio. Actually, I think it was Euclid, Ohio, where the Lincoln Electric Company was and had their welding school. And I was at welding school. So I voted for John F. Kennedy by absentee ballot. So now that I've got that out of the way, Sirhan is, my feeling is, one, I've always been opposed to the death penalty. Now, people sometimes will, or there'll be something in the news, they'll say, especially in Texas, Texas likes to execute people, and they've done it for political reasons. President Bush, before he was elected the first time, executed one or two people for sure that probably shouldn't have been executed, but he wanted it on. He wanted to be able to say that he was for the death penalty. We all knew he was for the death penalty, but but I've always been opposed to the death penalty. But over the years and pretty early on, I have thought that if you kill somebody, you just shouldn't get out of prison ever. I just hate it when there's something on the news about somebody killed this person or whatever. Although they were in prison before for murder and they got out, or I just think it's just now if I were on a jury or a parole board or something, maybe I would try to do the right thing, and as best you can. But basically, my feeling is if you kill somebody, you should be in prison and they should never let you out. You shouldn't be, I think prisons should not be dangerous places. I think they should be humane places. I don't think people should be abused or anything like that. But I think if you commit murder, you should. Now, on this case here, because of the history and because of everything, I don't have any objection if they, let's see, what else I can come up here. Sirhan is 77 years of age, and he shot, in case you don't know, I do know, shot Kennedy to death in the kitchen of the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles following a campaign event in which Kennedy celebrated the primary victories in his run for the Democratic nomination for president in 1968. I'm going to put the link to this. Here's the Wikipedia information about, Robert F. Kennedy. Here is Wikipedia information about Sirhan Sirhan. And I haven't watched it, and I'm not going to watch it. I relived, I lived those times, and I don't want to relive them again. So I will not watch I won't watch the series. But this information today, I was watching back then, the day before, I believe, that Robert F. Kennedy was assassinated. I think it was the night before, and I forget what, or the day before, and I forget what now, after all these years, whether it was Meet the Press or what the thing was. And Robert F. Kennedy was being interviewed, and he was asked something about his support for Israel. And I forget now exactly, after all these years, exactly what he said, except it was strong support for, for Israel. And I was watching, and I thought, oh, I'm glad that, Robert F. Kennedy has good security, because, wow, this is, because it was so firm and so 100%, and because of the feeling and the tensions back at that time and stuff, I thought, well, this is, I'm just glad that Robert F. Kennedy, has good security. And I think I even thought, I'm sure they'll probably, intensify the security coverage because of, what he said when he made this firm statement. So then after, at some point after this, when all this was being reported on and things like that, and I think there may have been maybe a book was out. By the way, this is the film. I haven't watched it. I haven't watched this either. But and I'm not sure where, there is a series, TV series. I don't know if it's on Netflix. I think it's on Netflix. But I don't know how many seasons it's running, but it's, I'm not going to watch it either. But after, I followed the news, and other people did too, and the investigation and that kind of stuff about all of this. And it was mentioned that Sirhan Sirhan watched Robert F. Kennedy's interview, the very one I was watching the day before or the night before, and that's what upset him, and that's what made him, that's what set him off to do it. The information that I just saw, I think maybe on this here, anyway, I'll put was that if this is correct, and I'm assuming that it is correct, he was upset with, Robert F. Kennedy, and I think it says in here that he had a diary, and he entered information into it, and so then, if this, if that's true, and I'm assuming that it would be, no reason to, lie about it. I mean, it might be a reason for him to lie about it, but not the news media or whatever. So then I was mistaken. That wasn't the one. Although maybe he wouldn't have done it. Maybe he had been upset by Kennedy's support for Israel. Maybe that was maybe he would have stayed at home that day and not done it. except he was already pissed, and then that might have been the. But anyway, so I've changed my mind on that because I remember following all this and reading it and watching it and thinking that, oh, I was watching this interview, and when Kennedy said, gave his support, and I remember thinking at the time and thinking, wow, I'm glad he's got good security, and I hope hope they had some extra security because of this interview that Kennedy had just made. But I guess that was incorrect. A lot of this, on my part, a lot of things, as you know, all of you know, from these early news, reports and things. The news media is so in such a hurry to get the information out that they just, and a lot of times when they're putting the information out, they even say, you can even tell, well, we don't know anything, but we got to be on the air, and we got to be saying something. So they pull in a Google map of if it's a shooting or something. They pull in a Google map, or an explosion or whatever. They pull in a Google map and show you that, and then they call on the telephone somebody who lives across the street from wherever it was. Do you see any, do you see anything out your window? And they just have to, I don't know. I guess they just can't. What they just should say is, hey, such and such has happened, and we don't know anything yet. When we do, we'll let you know. But that's not the way the news media worked. By the way, I worked as a second job, contract security at a TV and radio station. So I have a little bit of experience how they do how a local TV station, works, and a little bit of a dealing with local celebrities. Too, when I worked hospital security for 30 years or whatever, news media would show up at the hospital, and sometimes other security, not just the news media, but like the Chiefs football player, or the Kansas City Royals baseball team baseball player, or somebody would be showing up, and sometimes other security officers would say, "Oh, Jim, so and so, such and such a news reporter's in the in the emergency room right now," and my thing, was like, I don't care, and I wouldn't, I would patrol whatever I was supposed to do. I'd be patrolling, and I would make sure that, but I don't, not. I've always been a Madonna and Cher fan, but I don't think I would walk across the room or across the, I wouldn't drive over to the emergency room to make a check because that person was, just not that kind of a person. But man, there are a lot of people that are, fans. So, thank you very much for watching. I'll put these links below in case you're interested in this subject, and thank you very much.